Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, staying warm. I just got back from my little sister's boyfriend's boyfriend's birthday party. That is, I should clarify, my youngest sister. She's 13 right now. That aside from that, it's just exercises, Super Bowl, did church earlier. I guess I've got to get the whole exercises done. I've gotten a couple of messages lately from people just talking about how uplifting this was and how it's helped them somehow, which is all I really wanted from this. Like, I'm not trying to make money, obviously. I just want to give and support and encouragement. And then I can also show. Now, this obviously isn't comprehensive, and I cleaned off this TV several times, but still kind of smells like soot. Well, I mean, maybe I take the blanket off and I could probably use it, but yeah, I've got everything. This is like, I don't know, step 2, well, it's more like step 17, but either way, and getting all the house organized, getting my what's directly around me at least good enough. I'm pretty thrilled to have that show near on the road. I'm curious. They've got about the same score, and probably by the time anyone watches this, it'll be, the Super Bowl will have come and gone. But I want to know, I think they're both like 13-3 or so. So y'all pulling for the Seahawks or the Patriots? I've got pants on underneath, but I don't feel like taking my pants off for the world. Another thing, obviously, I don't have any of my dressers or anything here, but about time to get started with this. Several hours later. I was ready to do this earlier, and just one thing came up after another. So here we are, near 6 o'clock. All right, Goose. Yeah, that message, though, I try to stay off my phone for the first couple hours of the day if I can. And aside from doing the daily verse and all that, but waking up to a message talking about how uplifting this has been was everything that I really wanted. Like, I wanted to, not necessarily, I don't have to get hundreds of messages from everybody, but knowing that it's helping somebody is good enough for me. I've been thinking about a decent little bit lately. Get into a little bit of story time. I was talking to my little brother, and it was probably about 10 years ago. I was working with one really just beautiful girl, and she was always being kind of flirtatious, making goo eyes at me. And at one point, I'm using the bathroom after my shift, and she comes in. She just kind of walks in on me. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So I finish what I'm doing. I'll zip up and I wash my hands, obviously, and I walk outside, and she's sweeping and mopping outside. I go to say something something's just stupid, make a little joke to try to kind of cut some of the pressure. And when I get up to her, instead of making the joke, like I said, be careful, and then she like looks up at me, and she's got these big glowing eyes, and just looks the epitome of beauty, just about the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen. And instead of whatever joke I was about to say, what comes out is bleh, like be careful, and then I just turn around and walk away. So I got quite a big kick out of that. Like I was telling my little brother about it, and he's just like, "Oh, my heart hurts for you." Now I've spoken to people for a living for the past several years, so I'm trying to. I imagine I'm better at approaching some people without that same level of nervousness, but that's something that I've been kind of wanting to get better at. Like as a gender, men are inherently terrible at speaking to women that they're attracted to. I don't know that that's changed in however many years that, or is likely ever going to. It's probably only getting worse with how we are with the screens. But a thing that has helped tremendously is, and this is not to get too explicit with it, but cutting back in the last couple of years, and to the point where you stop completely looking at all those videos that we're all, I'll say all the men watching this have at least about. Like I had when I spoke to my siblings about sex for the first time, they hadn't had the talk, and I was like, yo, somebody's got to give them this talk, because if not, the internet's going to. And they were I think between 10 and 12 at the time, maybe a few years older, but they had already like seen plenty of videos, like even at that age. And that was a little, I was probably 8 or 9 when I found magazines in the shed out back. But cutting that out has increased like the confidence, has increased I heard one person call it mental aerobic or acrobatics, being able to just kind of dance around conversations in a way that is productive and that just think quicker. That's been worth a lot. All right, that answered the question. So if anybody, that's another thing, like aside from trying to be uplifting, trying to be, look at this buddy is doing significantly better. Let's get you out of the way of the push-ups. Trying to be, it's just helped me to be a better person. And there are a couple little tips that I can give if anybody's interested in that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That wasn't the only terrible time though. Like a few years after that, I meet somebody, another probably equally gorgeous individual at a bar, and she was definitely interested in talking. So before anything got too, I didn't ask anything real personal or intimate, but she was she mentioned like, well, we're about to go to over to Waffle House and get some food. And instead of identifying the offer in that, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll see you later. And like 3 days later, I'm at work and I'm mentioning that, and he's like, hey, you told me that you were going to that bar down the road. Like, how'd that end up going? I was like, oh yeah, wonderful. I showed up, drinks were wonderful. The atmosphere was really cool, and it got really busy, and I saw a good friend of mine I used to work with, and then when I mentioned that, she was like, well, we're going to Waffle House. And he goes, or I was like, it almost sounded like she was inviting. And then I just paused and I look over and my boy's like, come on, man. I don't know. I mentioned at the start of this, I wanted to be fully transparent. And I think that it's important to be able to tell stupid stories like that from my youth, where I've just dropped the ball tremendously, because either of those women were really, like, they seemed morally upright. They seemed to share similar values. Definitely, either, like, I'd have been lucky to end up in a committed relationship with either of them. But thinking back on it, I don't feel like I was ready for that at the time. So I'm certainly not ready for anything like that now. I'm not in this situation. But I would kind of like to keep this whole thing lighthearted, be transparent, tell you about funny stories from the past, and in a way that both teaches and entertains. Look at this little guy. Also, I'm really curious, what's everybody planning to make for the Super Bowl? Anybody doing anything interesting? What kind of like snackable meals y'all trying to make? Keep forgetting that even with a brace on, that ankle isn't 100%. Oh, I mentioned yesterday that I was trying to get a little cat bed. Ta-da. I've got for some reason, these cats love playing with paper, so just ran into that. But found that on Facebook Marketplace. So, nice, clean, pretty. Something to keep them happy and entertained. There's a chance that my siblings get at least one of them. Cats have been through a lot. I don't want to expose them to any more of the soot or the every time I bring something new in, like, they start coughing. It just breaks my heart. And I don't imagine that's going to get any better, like, for a time. And Goose will probably stay with me eventually. But the younger one might go to one of my younger siblings. We'll see. Okay. I guess it's just 2 sets of push-ups, and 1 set of dips. I've been thinking a lot about, with everyone hollering about toxic masculinity and you being able to see it wherever. I mean, wherever you look. I had plenty of it around growing up, especially after my dad passed. So trying to ride that fine line between being masculine and being a problem. Okay, what's the last thing? Oh, we're back to squats. They worked out really well yesterday. I used to go a whole lot deeper than I still am now, but I read that if you do squats, with any sort of damage to your tibial anterior tendon, to keep it from going too deep. And I'm trying to think about how to go about the whole I mean, I guess several things, but what best to do and what not to do for the future, how to go about staying active without doing too much. I fought a pop the other day. I forgot to put a brace on before I left the house, and goodness, that's it's been a lot of problems. All right. Yeah. For some time, once I've healed enough to feel comfortable trying to start pursuing dating again, I'd like to, I don't know, in this climate, it seems like it's difficult to try to just walk up to someone to anyone you don't know, really, and strike up a conversation without them feeling any sort of threatened. And having a relaxed posture and everything is a good start. Just letting them know that you don't intend to be any sort of threatening or intimidated, trying to make sure that they feel safe and at ease. I think that it's a fine line in this day and age with all the shootings and everything. I'm not a big fan of pickup lines, aside from as jokes. I was ready to do this at 10 a.m. 10:30. And I should have. But two, three, four. It's probably got something to do with the fact that I was kind of reserved growing up. I went through a decent bit of tragedy, specifically in '96.
With a high of 58 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 32 degrees.
Why, thank you, robot. I appreciate that. I don't use her name, lest she think I'm trying to strike up conversation with her. Yeah, I remember, and the first of my failed attempts at getting a productive conversation with the fairer gender going poorly, to say the least. I don't remember her last name, but her name was Heather. I was in like second grade, and I remember her being the smart girl in class. Maybe I should get away from the fermented stuff. So, I don't know. I've just always thought there was something very attractive about intelligence. So I had a crush as big as my little 8-year-old heart would allow. And I remember somebody asked her about me, and she was like, "Travis is ugly." And I didn't date anybody again from school ever. Like, well, I wasn't dating her, but I didn't successfully walk up and talk to somebody in a way that I felt comfortable and they felt comfortable, and I felt confident in myself. Like, zero success from then until I graduated, and very little after that. I guess that's one of those things that through the entirety of my 20s, all I really wanted to be was the best husband and father I could be. So it led to me drinking from whatever cup was presented to me, even if it was poisoned. And that led to a bunch of hardship. Because I only ever really interacted with people who were attracted to me and pursued me, instead of me seeing the value in myself and enough to go after anyone who I saw value in. Which was kind of ironic, because at that time, all I really wanted to do was, as I said, be the best husband and father I could be. I don't want to like spoil anyone. Going forward, whenever I do start dating, I'm going to be looking for somebody who's going to challenge me, because I'm going to try to challenge them. No, I'm going to challenge them. We're going to grow together in the next relationship that I intend to get into. And if there's no growth, there's not going to be a relationship. I intend to, at some point, I think I've said this before on here, start casually dating with no promise of sex or a relationship. No expectations. This has probably been the worst thought out video I've done so far, with considering I'm kind of double-minded in all this. Trying to think about what what I'm gonna do with all that stuff I got in there. Cheese sauce, or make a cheese dip for the chips and queso. Yeah, I'd like to clarify on the challenging people. I'll do one more. I've mentioned before, I want the next house that I get into to be one I intend to purchase. I want the next business that I really get into to be one that I start, like that I run. I don't think working for people at this time of my life is going to be tremendously productive. But even if I've got to get something for the season, we'll see what happens. But I want somebody to push me in that direction, where I say, or the both of us ask questions like, how about that book you were wanting to write? How about that business you were wanting to start? How about that house you were wanting to buy? How about these exercises? How about that next thing, the next good thing? Yeah. I think that's going to be worth a lot. It's kind of the way that I intend to treat my friends too. Like my closest friends, it's going to be a whole lot of like pushing to be better, pushing to do the next right thing, to become the best version of ourselves. Not to take one step outside of God's will, and to eventually push others to do the same. All right, I hope everybody's doing well, staying warm. Much love. Always, don't forget, even if your team loses, it's never a bad day to have a good day.